Today on our 2007 GMC Sierra 1500, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Roadmaster stoplight switch kit for pickups, SUVs with adjustable pedals. Part number RM-751220. So this is where our brake light switch is. Now what you're going to see is on the end of this brake light switch, when I push on my pedal, you'll see a white plunger come out. What that does is when that plunger comes out, it sends power to the green wire, which is connected to a light indicating that the brakes are being applied in the towed vehicle. This is to let the person or whoever is driving the towing vehicle know that the brakes are being applied. When the plunger goes back in, the power gets shut off to the brakes, the light goes off, and the person in the towing vehicle knows that the brakes are now not being applied. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take our bracket and we're going to locate the position underneath the dash where this is going to sit with our brake light switch. So in order to do that, we're going to have to remove your vent that runs right along the bottom here, and you can just use a trim panel tool to pry it off. So I'll set this up in there, and then you can get in there and look and see where it's going to be positioned. You can see the top of the bracket's leaning up against a nut. That's where it's going to mount at the top, and on the bottom side of the bracket is where the brake light switch is going to mount. So the first thing we need to do is remove the 10mm bolt that was at the top. This is where our bracket's going to mount to, and then we're going to replace it to a millimeter nut. Before we do that, we have to mount our switch onto our bracket, or we're not going to be able to get it in there. So what we're going to do, you're going to have two adjustable nuts and a star washer. Because it's so tight when it's sitting up there, we're going to put our bracket on over top of our first nut, put our star washer on, and then put our second nut over the top. And we're going to get this right where the edge inside where the plunger is level with the bolt or the nut. So now we'll tighten the back, just so we know that when that plunger is pressed all the way as far as it can go, you won't have the nut interfering with it. Now you're going to have two wires coming off the back of your switch. We're going to strip back both of them. And we're going to add a blue butt connector to each one. Then in your kit you're going to have a green wire and a red wire. And it doesn't matter which one you put which on. Your red wire is going to be going to your power or your battery, and your green wire is going to go to the supplemental braking monitor. Once we get those connected, go ahead and wrap them with some tape. So now I'm going to install my bracket now that I have my wires on and my switch on. It's going to go up and it's going to sit like this. This bolt or nut is going to hold it in place. When the brake is depressed, this plunger is going to come out. It's going to send a signal through this green wire to a monitor to tell whoever's towing the vehicle that the brakes are being powered. When this plunger is pushed in, that means the brakes are released, telling the driver that the brakes are not being applied at that time. Let me get this installed real quick and I'll show you how I did it. We're going to take our red wire. We need to run it out to the battery. There's also an option you can tap into the fuse box. I like going directly off the battery. So now we have two options. We can either run up through the firewall where the bundle of wires is coming through, or if you look right here, this customer already has wires that are running out from underneath his dash right up through his fender. I think I'm going to try following these. It may be a little bit easier to get to. So we're just going to pop this panel off right here, and we're going to route this up to the top side of the dash here. Just route it through the same spot here. We can put our panel back in place. It's going to hold our wire up. Now I'm going to get a wire or some tubing and feed it through this hole here so I can pull that wire through. You can see I just took an airline tube. You can use a wire hanger, anything like that, anything that has a little bit of stiffness to it. And I ran it through right where these wires are. Now I'm going to take my red wire And I'm just going to tape it on the end here. So we can go up and pull it out. Once you got it pulled through, you can remove it from your pull wire, airline tube, whatever you used. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a fuse holder, and this does not come in your kit. We're going to split it in half, trim both ends. We're going to take some heat shrink butt connectors. These also do not come in your kit. However, you can find these on eTrailer.com. We'll put one on one end, one on the other. We're going to take our red wire here. Give myself plenty here. This wire is just a little bit smaller. I'm going to put it in one end of my heat shrink butt connectors. So you're going to pick one of them, trim it down, make sure you have a good connection. We're going to take a heat gun and we'll shrink them. I'm going to take some extra wire. I found some black wire that I had laying around. Strip it back. And we're going to put it in the other end of our butt connector. Trim it down. Make sure you have good connection. And again, we'll heat shrink the butt connector around the wires. We'll let that cool down for a second, and then we'll wrap both of those with some electrical tape. Now we can route our black wire over to our positive side of our battery. Now that we have our power wire ran over, we're going to strip the end of it, go in a ring terminal, trim it down, make sure you have a good connection. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this with some electrical tape. We'll take a 10mm socket, remove this nut, and we'll place this on the positive side of our battery post. Now that you have your power wire connected to the battery, you can go ahead and put your fuse in. Now we'll test it on our green wire, which would go to the indicator light showing that our braking system is working, or our brake light switch is working. So we'll just take a test light. When we press the brake, the light should come on. That is indicating to us that it is working. And that'll do it for the Roadmaster stoplight switch, part number RM-751220 on our 2007 GMC Sierra 1500.
Thanks for watching. Click the link in our description below to shop, learn more, or visit us at eTrailer.com. And leave us a comment if you have any questions.